I know that the US is complicit in starting all of these wars in its past, as well as the ones that it is now supporting of today. Um, I want to understand what is the future for United States. They're being looked at as a pirate state, 50 states of piracy that control this planet. And of course, it's been 81 years, formation of UN, formation of the end of the World War, and how the Nazism had started the Second World War. And today, that very extremist elements are coming out of the other side of the world from United States, but the same rhetoric, the same kind of feelings towards other places. They've gone into Venezuela, they've done plunder. They are trying to overthrow the regime, the revolutionary regime in Iran. These are all important when it comes to global geopolitics. The economy, if you look at the economy, inflation is now everywhere. It's not just US economy, in Bangladesh, in Southeast Asia. Everything is now harder to buy or more to buy. And of course, it is definitely hard to source money to purchase of those items. The households and corporations do not meet eye to eye, especially because inflation has happened. And because of the BRICS nation, de-dollarization is taking place and all of this infighting between the nations. I want your observation before I can have a closing statement from Norman. Mr. Ahmed Alvi, what do you think?
So the path that America is going right now, you could state it back to any other empires of the past. You could speak about the British Empire. You could speak about, because historically speaking, any empire with its heights and lows, usually they stay about 200, 250 years. Now you could say America has been in power for quite a long time. And whether you're talking about Venezuela, Greenland, even on Iraq, right? It's more or less to do with, rather than colonism like in the past,
right.
This has to do more with just basic resources, just basically taking away their power to be independent, and more to do giving control back to their own oil companies, which can set up their foundations in those particular countries. So what is happening with America? Also, the question relies on who will we get next after Trump as well, because the next president might come and just might change a lot of these things. As for inflation and the point that you brought up previously regarding Jerome Powell,
right?
Trump wants to decrease interest rates so he can have more trade and more business activity, and that's one of the reasons why he's going against Jerome Powell. Trump, rather than looking at things like a world leader, he looks at it simply as a businessman. How can I get more resources for a cheaper amount? How can I increase business activity? And these don't really fall in the realm of a leader of a major superpower. So the question also would rely on who we get after Trump, how they think as well.
Right.
Because America, unlike China, it's built on these 4 years of presidency. In China, you have China or Russia, Putin or President, they're here to stay for the long run.
Of course, Xi Jinping, the premier, has been there for the last 15 or so years.
Exactly. So they're here to stay. But the good thing in America is nobody is actually there to stay. So after Trump,
not longer than 2 terms.
Yes, longer 2 terms. And this is already Trump's 2nd term. So after the next 2 years, we might get another leader who might change a lot of these things and could bring back a bit more of fundamental thinking when it comes to how a leader should think, rather than how a businessman acts.
Of course. We were talking about issue very local, but I want to generalize and come back to the event that is happening next month, the elections. I want to understand how you felt, whether you will be at the polling station and how the voting you think is going to be. I want your conclusion before we can end today's program.
Right. Regarding the elections, there's actually a really nice story. So last time, my parents, they went to give their votes. I was not in the country, unfortunately. And by the time they got to the booth, right, someone told them that their vote has been given for them.
Right.
And I always thought that was quite interesting. So clearly someone has been giving out clearly your votes have been taken with or without your consent, right? And so clearly there's a level of control of if our vote actually, how much does our vote actually count, right? Or if elections are rigged or not. But quite strangely, this time, I think posters were banned, which wasn't previously. And so it also seems like less, like you would see more of those Mitchells, you see more of those people gathering together, right? For the rallies, you'd see more rallies. This year just seems a bit nonchalant.